All right. Redskins-Cowboys. Spread right now, Cowboys by 7.5, over-under 41. They played in week 7. The Redskins won 20-17 at home. They held Ezekiel Elliott to 33 yards rushing. The Cowboys seem to – and Dak lost 2 fumbles. That was the big thing in that game. They seem to be feeding Zeke quite a bit since then. Big news here, Alex Smith injured after that ugly injury. Colt McCoy. So my first reaction to this was, well, you know what? Colt McCoy is not the worst backup you can have.
He knows the system.
But he hasn't really played in 4 years. And we don't know what he is. Like there was a time, I talk about all the time, and I'm in Charlotte, and Derek Anderson was here. And there were years when the Panthers made the playoffs that Derek Anderson helped the Panthers win games as a backup. Mm-hmm. And people thought he'll hear say, you know what, he's probably the best backup in the league. But Derek Anderson went out and played for the Bills this year, and he stunk.
Right.
Because it's 4 or 5 years later. Yep. This makes me wonder, like, I don't know if I can count on Colt McCoy to be the same guy that he was a few years ago when he started occasionally and was a halfway decent backup. Like, I don't know. It's such a wild card. It worries me.
It's a lot of points.
Yeah.
And Adrian Peterson's still running well. Here again, and it's just crazy to watch Alex Smith's injury. And what have we talked about over the last 2 weeks? How the Washington Redskins offensive line just got so beat up and battered. They were down 3 offensive starters, and then less than 2 weeks later, Alex Smith's leg breaks because of the pass rush of Houston combined with the injuries. So that, I mean, it's almost like foreshadowing, not to mention all the crazy connections with the Theismann injury. Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys have looked great over the last few weeks. Zeke is a complete monster, but we already knew that. I think Dallas's defense is a lot better than I think a lot of people thought it would be as the season played out. Van Der Esch, I mean, that guy is – it's like Sean Lee's not missing, so it's only like, man, imagine if they had Sean Lee and Van Der Esch. Now, I know some packages, both of them can't be on the field, but that Van Der Esch is just a complete monster. So they have a lot of things going for them. I mean, that offense just – if it's not Zeke – how do they cover 7.5? Like, if Zeke has an off day because of the short week, how do they cover the 7.5 when – and again, Colt McCoy went out there, and if Alex Smith finishes that game against the Texans cover, right? Throwing Colt McCoy in there, and he scores a touchdown like 2 seconds later because of a penalty that extended that drive, I believe, which is maddening to no end. It just seemed like everything was going in the Texans' favor. They were going to be able to cover, I think it was 2.5 or 3 on the road. I think it was 2.5, and they won by 2 on the road. And then Colt McCoy comes in and kind of throws everything. So now the Cowboys have a few days to prep for Colt McCoy. Like you said, a lot of rust on him. My big concern is always going to come back to, is there enough Ezekiel Elliott to cover 7.5? And I pause on that, and I think the Redskins can keep it just close enough. Maybe with Adrian Peterson, but man, then I counter, and this is what happens when you have to do it on Monday for 2 days down the road. Is the Cowboys defense just going to completely bottle up Adrian Peterson, and that's how they cover the 7.5? I could see myself last minute switching to the Cowboys. As of Monday, I'm picking the Redskins to cover the 7.5. That I think one other telltale sign of that 7.5 is the over under 41. So they have to the point total is 41, and the Cowboys have to cover 7.5. I think there's some context clues there to take the skin.
It's hard. I agree, and I think it's too many points too, because I think the Redskins defense is good enough to keep the Cowboys in check.
Yeah, the rush defense is good.
This looks like a 20-17, 24-20. You know, unless I think the Redskins are only going to score 10 points, then I think they're probably going to get into that number.
Right. So, because I think Colt McCoy maybe 190 yards passing, but he could have 2 touchdowns. That's where you have to 2 passing touchdowns.
I don't know who he's throwing to, but
but then again, AP is kind of rekindled everything. I mean, AP's line wasn't sexy, but he had 2 touchdowns against the Texans rush defense. So
I'm having so much trouble finding injury news, by the way.
It has become a little thin, but I think a lot of the people that we rely on for injury news probably on the vacation right now, so the updates probably aren't.
Well, it's because Monday is a kind of a down day after the game, and then they're probably playing on Thursday, so it's early in the week, and it's kind of like we might not know anything till today. on some of the injuries.
Because they have to go through at least a practice, and their bodies are resting on Monday.
So we don't know. The word from the Redskins was Trent Williams is going to be back this week. That was last week's word.
Right.
They think he's going to be back. We don't know about Chris Thompson or any of those guys. So we're just going to have to wait and see.